Novel, Hail the King. Chapter 8, The Death. Everyone was expecting the death of Pierce, as no one was in a position to save his life. "Hey, dumb punk. Try and dodge my ultra-concealed weapon." A confident voice rang from the other side of the battlefield. However, even though the enraged rapier-wielding man didn't hear it, he felt something was aimed at the back of his head. An object was flying at him fast. He was surprised. He had to pull back the rapier and block whatever was flying at him. The concealed weapon was slashed in half, and red liquid splashed onto his head. What the hell was that? Due to his body's positioning, he had no indication of what the concealed weapon was. He swung his rapier to make a sphere-shaped protection zone, and ducked to prevent any more of the red liquid from landing on him. After he regained his bearings, he looked up and saw what the concealed weapon was. He immediately became more furious. The concealed weapon was one of his own soldiers. Someone had grabbed and threw this poor guy at him, and due to his carelessness, he didn't look and chopped that soldier in half. "Haha, are you scared now? Chicken." A gloating laughter had redrawn the attention of the rapier-wielding man. He looked up and saw a man wearing a full heavy suit of armor, with only openings on the armor for eye holes. In the light of the sunset, this man looked majestic like a god. That man didn't waste any time, he started charging right away. The momentum from his body caused collisions so powerful that all of the enemies got knocked off the wall. With the massive double-handed axe in his hand, he was planning on taking this rapier warrior down. "You are seeking your own death, idiot." This enemy sneered as he saw that the new arrival was disadvantaging himself. Full heavy armors were used by cavalry soldiers like knights, never regular foot infantry. It was dumb to wear a 50-pound armor for close-ranged combat, since it would slow your attacks and weigh you down. In this enemy's mind, that man was just a dumb idiot. Go hang out with the Grim Reaper. The rapier warrior moved all the energy in his body onto his weapon. With flames appearing around the rapier again, he pierced towards the hulking armored man charging at him. The strike was fast, as if it was lightning. The energy was overflowing from the rapier. This enemy had unleashed all his powers as a one-star warrior. He was confident that he could kill this heavy armored man with this strike. On the other hand, the fully armored Iron Man was still charging, with no signs of slowing down. Like a dumbass in others' eyes, he wasn't even in a proper charging position. When soldiers charge, they would bend their backs and keep their weight low. With his chest wide open and back straight, that man was literally running into the blade. The enemy started laughing. "Haha, there is no way you can make it out of here alive." But sparks flashed. The laughter suddenly stopped and the smile froze on the warrior's face. The huge axe that man was dragging appeared in front of him from an impossible angle, and collided with the rapier right on the tip. How? This enemy was stunned. Striking the tip of my rapier with the axe, when both of us were moving so fast. That could only be the technique of the god of war. Shit, this man was toying with me. This enemy immediately regretted his decision and tried to back off. But it was too late. The rapier couldn't hold up to that amount of power, and snapped into pieces. The force of the axe didn't stop there, the rapier-wielding warrior's hand almost exploded. If anyone who didn't know what had happened, they wouldn't recognize the shape of the hand anymore. The momentum continued traveling upwards, and the veins in his right arm, that was holding the rapier, bulged and his skin ruptured. The huge noise had disturbed everyone on the battleground. All the fighter of Chambord and the enemies had stopped fighting for a second, and glanced to look at what had happened. Holy crap! God! To chip a rapier from the tip, what kind of power was that? Everyone thought. But what was more surprising was yet to come. The huge axe had turned into a shadow in that man's hand. It was moving so fast that no one's eyes could follow the movements of the axe. As the one who was in extreme danger, this ex-rapier-wielding warrior has fallen into a position where he had never been at before. He was the only one on the battlefield that saw the axe coming for his waist. That man was trying to chop him in half with that horizontal strike. Shit! This enemy was devastated. He no longer had a weapon and had fallen into an enormous disadvantage all of a sudden. He tapped his feet onto the ground and jumped up trying to dodge that vicious attack. He shot up 5 feet high, almost like he was flying up. But the axe seemed to bend the rules of physics. It didn't follow through the horizontal trajectory that this enemy had thought. Instead, it followed this enemy straight up into the air. This enemy was in midair, so there was nothing he could do to dodge or block this attack. It sounded like the tearing of a piece of paper. The axe had went through this enemy, from the bottom of his crouch to the top of his head. Because it happened so fast, as if this enemy didn't had time to react to what had happened, he was still one piece when he landed on the ground. After a brief moment, this enemy tried to reach out his hand. His facial expression was just dead. This small movement was like the call to the Grim Reaper. Suddenly, a tiny bloody seam appeared on his body. He looked down on his body, not believing what was happening. There wasn't time for his last wail. Blood started spurting out. The body was separated symmetrically from bottom up. The white intestines, chopped internal organs and the slimy brain fell all over the place. This prestigious one-star warrior, who was decimating the defenders of the castles less than 5 minutes ago, couldn't be more dead than that.